Hello, everybody. This is a Lamley preview. It's Hot Wheels Convention Week in Los Angeles, 36th Annual Convention, Collectors Convention in Los Angeles. And I have two of the four exclusives that will be released this week at the convention that I want to show for you. We're going to open them up, check them out. And to make it a little more fun, I'm actually going to showcase my top five convention models from the past. Convention/nationals. I'll explain that in just a second. That list always changes, but at least right now, these are my top five, and I'm going to show them off. To give you a little bit of background, every first week in October, typically, is the Hot Wheels Collectors Convention, always in Los Angeles. It's been at the same Marriott Hotel for the last few years. I don't know if that's going to change. In the spring, first week in April, is the Nationals Convention, run by the same great folks, Mark and Jennifer Milholland. They are the ones who put on the convention. Mattel and Hot Wheels supports it by doing the exclusives. They're the ones who choose what models to do. Basically, Mattel gives them a list of models they can choose from, typically premium, and always premium, so they have the metal chassis, real riders, and everything else, and they kind of work together to create these exclusives. So Nationals in the spring, convention in the fall, always a fun time. There's four models. There's three convention models. Two that they unveil before the event, which are these two. A third, which is the finale model, which is given out on Saturday night to attendees. That will be unveiled then. And I'll do I'll have a little showcase that I'll drop as soon as that is unveiled. And on Thursday night is a dinner. They always honor someone, typically from the Mattel family. In this case, it's going to be Mark Jones, the fantastic designer who does most of the car culture. And we'll unveil his model that they'll be giving to attendees at that dinner that night as well. So that will be really, really cool. But let's focus on these two and let's talk about the top five. Before we even do that and open these up, I'm going to just walk through. I'm not even going to explain what these models are, but I'm going to walk through some of the previous. These were models from either Nationals or the convention that I would put in, that I would consider as part of my top five. But these are the ones that were just outside. But it doesn't really mean anything because when I do the next list, they might be in there. I mean, it's constantly changing, right? Our tastes as collectors are always changing, and it's just hard to really determine. This one has always been up there for me, the Honda S2000 honoring Rio Sada, but that RLC is so cool that I don't know. It's just there's just so many cool models. As I was trying to figure out my top five too, I was trying to see if there's a theme, and I couldn't even figure out a theme. I just was like trying to just kind of going with what were my favorites, because even some non-licensed stuff made it in, which is interesting to me because I just think the execution on this Larry Wood turbine time has always been a favorite. I've done these lists before, right? And you'll notice that they always change. I was wondering, well, maybe it's like the most realistic, the plain models. These are ultra premium. They're not RLC type premium. I'd say they're at the level of quality, but RLC kind of reserves the Spectre Flame for RLC models. You'll see the Spectre Flame pop up occasionally, but these models tend to get just super premium treatment. Now, you could look at this model and say, well, that looks like a car culture Z, and I get that. But I don't know. There's just something about how these models are executed, and there's always kind of a different approach. Sometimes there's overarching themes. Sometimes the designers just have fun. For example, this one, I love this Dutch Courage model that Steve Vanderveet did. He is a graphics designer, obviously, for RLC, Premium, and so on and so forth. And he it was the dinner that honored him, the dinner that never happened because it was during the pandemic, so this model had to be mailed out. But I just loved what he did with this gasser. These are the models that I had to consider. Here, I'll put that right here. But I wanted to pick a top 10, so let's go through it very, very quickly. These are not in any particular order. They just are my top 5. Not top 10. And we start with this one. This is the DeLorean. You'll see that there's actually an autograph on this because this was the dinner model done for Manson, who is a designer. He's a 3D designer, right? I don't know what the Manson Chong. You're going to have to help me with the what your official title is, but he will sculpt. That's the right word. He will sculpt these models as they're done by the designers. This one was honoring Manson, and he did sign it. One of the things I love about this is the opening doors DeLorean. I'll even open the doors here. And we've seen the DeLorean Manson loves Top Gun. Manson loves Back to the Future. Manson loves the DeLorean. He actually owns a DeLorean himself. And they went to town on this casting. This was at the Chicago Nationals Convention. And it's what I love about this, and we've seen this DeLorean done before, but it's the brushed metal. This treatment they gave this DeLorean is so unique, and the Hot Wheels team said they may not ever be able to do it again just based on what the lengths they had to go to get this done. There's no way they could do it for an actual, major, massive release. They'd had to do it for this specialty model. But it's just the details in the metal that really make it look as like just that raw steel that the DeLorean has. And I just think this model is tremendous. Manson signed it. I've got one card that I might open just to have. And Manson, even your autographs, like it's kind of fading, but yeah, maybe we'll have to do that. So that's the first one. I'll put that right here. It's really just the look of the model, the brushed metal. Next one. And this is one that I was really kind of going over. I spent some time trying to figure out what my top 5 was. And this one I could not take it out of the top 5. And I'm not even a big fan of the casting. I'm not a huge fan of the drag bus. To the point that the model that this one is honoring, I don't have. It's the first edition of the drag bus. This was done in the 2021. Was this Nationals? Yeah, it was done in Nationals. I actually did 2 drag buses, actually celebrating 25 years of the VW drag bus, designed by Phil Reelman. It was designed initially for the basic range. It's funny to think about that. But in 96, right? This model was released in the basic range, and then we've seen it used all over the place ever since. It'll never be in the basic range again. It's just too expensive to produce. Original, if you have it or you're familiar with it, and I wish I had it to show, comes in just that Hot Wheels kind of blue, the same blue as the blue card from the era, and the old Hot Wheels logo, which is here. Well, they've taken this, they've done it in this kind of like cool, brushed matte silver look with the black roof, with the old Hot Wheels logo done. So they've done it in a special color. It's just the black Real Riders, black 5-spoke Real Riders with the red line tires. The way they've done the tribute to this model, I just thought was incredibly, incredibly cool. And I had just the execution of the model meant I had to include it in my top 5. So there it goes right there. Next one. Another one that is a casting that I like and definitely get behind. Drag bus. If you think about the classic Hot Wheels castings, there's the new era of the Datsun 510 wagon, the R34, all that kind of stuff. But it's the drag bus and it's the old 67 Camaro. This one is incredible. This one was fun. This one was actually released the same time the Datsun wagon convention model was, the first one in black. But I always think that this one in the Spectraflame Gold, this Camaro with the 50-year, it was the year of the 50-year anniversary, I think. Close to it. I don't know. Don't remember. All I know is this is a cool model. In Spectraflame Gold, love the wheels with the Goodyear and the Eagle tires. Simple racing logos on the side, or at least sponsor logos, and a very simple deco on the roof. I just love the execution of this one. Like I said, I was trying to think of themes and I couldn't think. Do I like the plain models? Do I like the old, the really cool looking deco? It really doesn't. I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason to why I like these particular models, but this gold Camaro, hopefully I didn't say Corvette, Camaro is one of them. All right, last 2 are pretty predictable actually for me. Speaking of new generation Hot Wheels classics, had to go with the R34. This is the premium R34 with the opening hood, the brake calipers, everything that's been put in by Brendan Fatuski, which he did for RLC. And we saw it debut in blue, and then we saw the RLC membership model in purple, and then we've seen recently the Nismo in chrome. But this one in yellow, in signature yellow, done very realistically. I mean, this one has gained an incredible amount of secondary value in the last few years. And I think rightly so, because it's just a very cool looking model. This one could pass as a car culture model, right? Just the way it looks. It's just very clean, very plain. I always use the word plain, but I mean that in the most positive way. But I've always thought that this one was an absolutely breathtaking model. Dramatic word, sorry. But just a really, really cool model. And along those same lines, the dinner model for Julian Coils was this one. This may be my favorite convention model. Like I said, it's always subjective and it always changes. But this particular model, the Cobra R, in this Mustang teal, very much a perfect 90s color, superseded the Spectre Flame Red Cobra R that was supposed to be released first. So this is the first time we actually saw this in hand. And this execution in teal, this is how Julian wanted to do it. Julian does the card art for Car Culture and others, and he was the guest of honor at Nationals a year ago. Earlier this year in Charlotte. And he wanted to do this casting in teal that, I don't know if it was an official Cobra R color, but it is from that Fox body era, a perfect color, especially 90s. He wanted to do it clean. He did it with these 10 spokes. And right now, if I had to pick an all-time favorite convention model, I think I would go with the Mustang. All right, those are my top 5. Hopefully you like those. Agree, disagree, doesn't, I'd love to see your top 5 of the convention models. Yeah, one of these 4 that's being released this week might pop in there. In fact, I think the Skyline has a very good chance of popping into that top 5. We'll talk about that one. And I'm going to say, just as a little teaser, I'm going to go with the finale model. I think it has a really good chance of breaking into the top 5 as well. But we'll wait a week for that one to be unveiled. All right, let's go through these. 1 of 3. Like I said, 3 convention models. 2 unveiled already by the folks at the convention. And these will be on sale for attendees. I think they can buy up to 3, each of these per ticket. First 2 unveiled, as you can see, and then the finale is the 3rd of this series. Here's the back. Here's how many are made. 6,200. This is number 1999. It's going to get opened because that's why they send them to me. The convention folks, Mark and Jennifer, did send these to me to open, so I got to do it. This is kind of interesting. Obviously, it's the 1983 Chevy Silverado. It is one of those new era iconic castings. This is the second time that the Junimai lowered casting has been done as a convention model. Here's the first time. Done in a very similar kind of, almost a stock style, right? Square body style. I really like this one because it was nice and clean in red and yellow. And then it had a little bit of pinstriping on the hood. I don't know if it got anywhere else, but it's just kind of clean, kind of cool. I always like that lowered, square body. We know how much we all love the square body. That was the one convention. The other one that I'll show that definitely merits coverage here is the first lifted one. They've done the lifted Silverado twice as well. And the very first one was very cool because they had, again, very stock. It seemed like very companion type models. The USA one, the old Chevy USA one logo on the back. And I like what we have here with that. So I don't know if we got any. Yeah, this one's kind of realistic with the lifted Silverado. I'm going to put that right here like it's driven through the bushes. But here it is. First thing, well, let's take a look and let's just open it up. These are definitely, they're worth opening for sure, as I like displaying them open. But, the thickness of the card, everything, these are definitely made to display as well. And here it is. Don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. Look at this. These are definitely companion. They had the first version in mind when they made this one. Pinstriping on the hood once again. If you look at the stripes on this one and the stripes on this one, you can see that they're very similar. They have that silver lower stripe. This one didn't get the USA one, but this one did. So it looks like it's almost like a meshing of the two previous Silverados, the lifted and the lowered. Love the color. The red is cool. I actually like this light blue even better. Love that they just went with the standard 5 spokes, which just looks so cool on this casting. Seems so appropriate. This is the original casting. They did make a plastic version for basic, and I don't know if they've ever modified this casting, but this is how it was done originally by Junimai for the first Modern Classics line in, I think, 2008. And we know what this casting has become ever since. It is an iconic casting, always popular, and this one will undoubtedly be gobbled up by collectors and attendees at this show. For sure. Really, really cool model. Easy favorite there. All right, let's talk about the Skyline. This is kind of cool too. Like I said, Mattel gives Mark and Jennifer a list. They go through, they try and figure out, obviously, they want to do models that we want to buy. And that's why you're going to see drag buses, 83 Silverados, cool combis, Datsun wagons, Datsun sedans. coupes. They're going to do the castings that we want, and then they tend to like have a little bit of fun, like like sometimes they'll do something that surprises. But I don't blame them. They got to sell these models, and some people are like, oh, another Skyline, another Silverado. I guess everyone complains why they go and gobble up every one of them out of these models that they can. This one is cool. So they will give them premium models that you might see in car culture. They'll also give them some RLC castings, and they obviously chose the 1972 Nissan Skyline HT 2000 GTR. This is the RLC version. As you can see, it's got the separate spoiler piece and everything else. I'll show you the back. Like the Silverado 6200 made, this one's 1975. If it were 1972, I don't think I could open it. If the number was 19, I just couldn't. But 1975, I feel like I can. But there is the back of it. Obviously, this is a casting that has been released twice before. The first version was this insanely cool chrome version. Had the opening hood. Separate spoiler piece. Brendan Vituski basically took the Hakoska that Junimai did and just premiumed it up. Made it, instead of, brought the stock grill back, made the side mirrors and the back spoiler separate pieces. Just added a lot more of that premium detail that you get from RLC, and this chrome version is just next level cool. One that I've loved since the second it was released, and up there is one of my all-time favorite RLC models. And then we saw it as the membership model not a few months later, looking cool with these red trim, also in a very clean RLC blue. This time with the 4-spoke wheels, which makes sense on this casting for sure, the classic 4 spokes, as opposed to the Watanabe rims on the first version. But this blue version was very, very cool too. And we get this third one, which now we get the non-RLC treatment. That's why I enjoy these as a convention model, and I'm so glad it's not covered in flames or anything, because convention models can be RLC level premium, but without the Spectra flame. So it's like if you're into like kind of that realistic color, these convention models are definitely worth pursuing when they do it like this. This Skyline is a great example. This yellow, you're not going to see in Spectra flame. And the only 3 other versions of this casting have been in Spectra flame. So I love them, but kind of nice to have this realistic. So this one fits that same kind of theme. So let's open it up. I like to spend a little bit of time talking about these. Oh, this is cool. You got to get these out of the blister and you can start to see some of the details. First thing, they've gone carbon fiber on the hood. So a very kind of a modern take on the Skyline. It's like someone was updating and modifying this. But from every other angle, it looks very much like a classic Hakoska. With the wheel fenders, everything else. This is very, very cool. Hot Wheels logo on the sides, on the back, but done in a very clean way. You get the convention information on the spoiler. Doesn't take too much away from that. Before they would put the big logo on. I like it better this way because I think the logo can actually detract. I like the logos, but it can detract. Let's see if I can open up the. So the engine is its own separate piece, and that is really, really pretty. Look at that detail. Really creative way to do the hood. I totally forgot about that. Isn't that funny? So there it is. Silverado and the Hakoska, the 72 Skyline, are your 2 convention models that you can buy in this, at the event, those that are attending. Easier to acquire because they're done in larger numbers than I think the Finale and the dinner model. I don't have them in front of me to know what the numbers are. I will unveil those as they're released. I'll have a little short, like an Instagram, YouTube short, TikTok style, to drop in some pictures once the dinner model's unveiled, and I'll do the same Saturday night at the Finale. If Mattel does a Finale, if they do a Finale presentation where they do sneak peeks and stuff, I will stream that live for sure. But I don't know if they're doing it yet. They haven't done it the last few years because of the pandemic and whatnot. But if they do it this time, I will definitely stream it, and I will let you guys know if that's the case. I'll find out as soon as I can and then put that out there. Thanks, everybody. You guys tell me what you think. We kind of into these convention models? Should be. They're awesome. Bye.